My name is John Passfield. The title of this reading will be Eisenstein Video 8, The Reflective Journal. This is my novel, Death Day, The Apology of Sergei Eisenstein, a novel by John Passfield. Now in this video, I'm going to read from the journal which I wrote while planning and writing the novel. The title of the journal is The Making of Death Day, and it can be found and accessed for free on my website, johnpassfield.ca. That's John Passfield, all one word, .ca. Now, the novel is 49,000 words, and the journal is 100,000 words, twice as long as the novel. It records 4 years of planning and writing from June of 2005 to July of 2009. Each note was written after I'd written a chapter and was planning the writing of a new chapter. In this reading, I'm going to present 5 passages as a sample of what the Eisenstein Journal contains. Now, I've drawn these 5 passages from the note at the final chapter of the novel, so they're kind of a summary of what I think I've accomplished. Number 1. I do not know how some novelists can begin a novel with a few characters and their relationships, a conversation between characters, or a passage of thought by a character, with the idea that the writing process will be a voyage of discovery. When I begin to plan a novel, I feel that there will be so much discovery in the writing process that it will turn to chaos if I do not answer as many of the basic questions as it's possible at the planning stage. I had the outer frame of apology as the main idea pattern in place from the start, and the ambivalent ending as well, as these 2 ideas formed the foundation on which all of the details of a novel were to be built. Next, I made a list of characters, which for me provides the idea frame for all of the supporting idea patterns that will eventually become the text of the novel. Characters, relationships, and thoughts all flow from the establishment of these idea patterns. As I approached the writing of Chapter 18, the final chapter, it was not a case of surprise at what I discovered as I groped blindly towards a mystery destination, but a satisfaction at what I had discovered along the way on a successful voyage to a known destination. Well, that's the first passage I selected. Here's the second passage that I selected from the Eisenstein Journal. I believe that this novel and journal, my 11th novel writing project, has taken longer than any such combination since my second novel and journal on the topic of Jumbo. So here's my second novel, Jumbo, P.T. Barnum's Greatest Creation, a novel by John Passfield. So 2 novels that took an awful long time to write and to think about, as I do when I'm writing the journals. I started full-time on the planning of Death Day on August 4th, 2008. And finished the rough draft ready for polishing on March 24th, 2009, after 235 days. The 18 chapters of journal which were left to write have taken 4 more months to complete, for a total of 11 months on this novel writing project. I edited 2 books during April and May of this year, Victoria Day and The Making of Victoria Day, and took a trip to the Baltic Sea capitals. Did a number of jobs around the house and had a family and social life during this time, but it still seems as if the amount of time which the project has taken is excessive. That I've written 11 novels and 11 journals in 10 years, 1999 to 2009, is pleasing to me, but I'm very aware that I have many novel and journal projects in mind for the future, and that I have, even if I live a long life, enjoy good health, and work productively, a limited time left to me. So that was 2009. Here's an update. It's 2022 as I'm speaking. I've written 29 novels and 2 novellas and accompanying journals, and I still feel there's not much time left and I have a lot to do. So it's a very human thought, I suppose. Lots to do, not much time left. Here's the third passage from the Eisenstein Journal. I make very few changes in my chapters after each reaches the polishing stage. I do not make cuts, add new sections, or rewrite passages. I simply polish the wording of the text. I put this down to the fact that I attempt to remain as conscious as I can be of the ideas of the novel at every stage of the writing process. That this novel could be improved at this point is entirely possible, but aside from changing the odd word, the way in which that could be accomplished is outside my present knowledge. The novel presents the story of Sergei Eisenstein exactly as I wish it to be presented. So, to write the best novels of which you're capable is the task. To go beyond that is impossible. Here's the novel. It's the best I can do. Here's the fourth passage in the Eisenstein Journal. The image of helmets, spears, and shields is from the proposed film of Alexander Nevsky, while the image of skeletons beneath the cardboard mask is from the aborted film of Que Viva Mexico. Generally, I use the imagery of the word pattern sparingly. I believe that the poetic novel of our time will be written using the technique of image unit juxtaposition. We live in an age of verisimilitude in literature, and as a child of this age, I am more comfortable writing each image unit and minor cycle in the language of prose narrative. I then interlayer these prose minor cycles in order to create a pattern of image units that require the reader to close the gaps between them, gaps that can only be closed by the interpretive imagination of the reader. So that was the fourth passage. Here's the fifth and last passage that I'm going to read, and then I'll read another item as a conclusion. The dynamic of the entire novel is the interplay between the inner life and the outer life of the main character. The fact that the topic of Sergei Eisenstein's inner life, the proposed film of Alexander Nevsky, has become a major image pattern in the apology major cycle, almost to the point that it's overshadowing the purpose of the outer situation, which is the apology to Sergei Eisenstein's colleagues, is fascinating to me. It is typical, I believe, of the way in which we conduct our lives, with a very busy outer life of demands on our time and attention, and a rich inner life of thoughts which either deepen our outer lives or provide an alternative to those outer lives. In this case, the resort to inner life thoughts about the film is ambivalent. Either, two dashes here, one, these thoughts are an escape into fantasy in a situation which is almost certain to lead to the end of Sergei Eisenstein's filmmaking career, or, number two, these thoughts are designed to produce a means whereby Sergei Eisenstein can overcome the problems of the outer life by devising a film project which will please his superiors and allow him to continue with his film-making career. So we all have outer lives of demands on our time, and we interact with the people of our lives, our co-workers, our family, and so on. We also have inner lives, and ideally those two harmonize and aren't at odds. This is the premise of all my writing. In every novel, the main character is engaged in a struggle to harmonize the forces that impinge on his consciousness. Each main character is bombarded with a plethora of images, both threatening and flattering, repellent and attractive, from within and from without, from the past and from the present. Each character has to resist the hostile takeover of his mind from within or without, and can only counteract that threat by a healthy takeover or healthy maintenance of the self by the self. All of the elements of this novel, whether of films, events, or thoughts, of filmmaking, public trials and relationships, of Russia, Hollywood, and Mexico, have been surface information which the mind of the main character has turned into the imagery that his preconscious mind hopes will allow him to be able to interpret the nature of life itself. Well, those are the 5 passages that I chose from the Eisenstein Journal. Here's a note that I wrote, related but not directly related, while looking over these passages. If you take a pail of sap and boil it down, you get maple syrup. If you take an image and boil it down, you get a distilled image. The original image is realistic and pertains to one particular situation. So here's an image. A grandfather, John Pasfield, walks along the beach at Port Maitland, Ontario, Canada, with his grandson Saul, as the two of them skip stones into Lake Erie. So that's an image. If we boil this image down, it becomes simpler, concentrated, and mythical. Here's the distilled image. A grandfather walking along a beach with a grandchild as the two of them skip stones into the water. The distilled image is mythical because it's universal. It refers to any and all time in human history, to any and all places on earth, and to any and all grandfathers and grandchildren. In my novels, I print the realistic, detailed images, which are potentially mythical, but I also strip away the details and print the distilled images, the mythically enhanced images, along with the realistic images somewhere else in the text of the novel. And since the main character and I share the entire text of the novel as our personal image pattern, our own personal objective correlative, our own personal myth, this is the method by which the main character in a novel of mine thinks. It is an attempt by the main character to multiply the points of view by which he or she is attempting to evaluate the information as imagery of his or her entire life. So, if you're interested in the theories and the practice of the novel as an art form, the Eisenstein Journal, all 100,000 words, can be accessed for free on my website, johnpasfield, all one word, .ca. Thank you for watching this video.